The airplane cabin hummed with the low murmur of passengers settling into their seats. Overhead bins clicked shut, the intercom crackled with pre-flight announcements, and the scent of stale coffee and recycled air filled the narrow aisles. Among the crowd, Rebecca Harrow sighed as she maneuvered her designer handbag onto her lap. She glanced at her first-class ticket and then at the approaching figure in fatigues, a young soldier walking toward her row. Her brows furrowed in irritation. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," she muttered under her breath as the uniformed man gave her a polite nod before settling into the seat beside her. Rebecca shifted uncomfortably, her expensive perfume failing to mask the faint metallic scent of the soldier's gear. He adjusted his backpack, taking care not to invade her space, but she scoffed anyway. "Is there a problem, ma'am?" he asked, his voice calm and measured. She exhaled sharply. "I just don't understand why they let military people sit in first class. Shouldn't you be with the rest of your squad and coach?" A few heads turned. The soldier's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond immediately. Instead, he adjusted his seatbelt, his expression unreadable. "I was upgraded," he finally replied. "The airline honors service members sometimes." Rebecca scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Right. Well, I paid for my seat. Unlike you, I actually worked for it." The tension thickened between them, drawing the attention of nearby passengers. A flight attendant approached, sensing the brewing conflict. "Is everything all right here?" she asked, her professional smile unwavering. Rebecca flashed a saccharine smile. "Just wondering why I have to share my space with someone who probably still has sand in his boots." A sharp intake of breath rippled through the cabin. The soldier's fingers curled into fists on his lap, but he took a deep breath before speaking. "I'm just trying to get home," he said quietly. "Same as you." Rebecca huffed, turning toward the window in irritation. She ignored the murmurs around her, the judgmental glances. The flight continued uneventfully after that, with Rebecca pointedly ignoring her seatmate and the soldier remaining quiet. When the plane landed, he simply nodded once more before stepping into the terminal. Rebecca, eager to be rid of the experience, hurried through baggage claim and into her waiting car. By the time she arrived home, she had all but forgotten the encounter. But the next morning, as she sipped her coffee and scrolled through the news on her phone, the breath caught in her throat. The headline read, "Soldier Killed in Tragic Car Accident Hours After Returning Home." Her heart pounded as she clicked on the article. Her stomach twisted into knots as she recognized the picture, the same soldier from the plane. Tears welled in her eyes as she read further. He had been on his way to surprise his mother, who had been battling cancer. His flight had been booked last minute because he had spent his last deployment saving a group of civilians caught in a war zone. Rebecca's hands trembled. The words blurred as guilt crashed over her like a tidal wave. Her cruel remarks, her disdain, and now he was gone. She set her coffee down with shaking fingers, bile rising in her throat. Her chest tightened as she whispered, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And that was just the beginning of her reckoning. Rebecca sat frozen, her hands still gripping the edges of her phone. A wave of nausea washed over her. Her mind raced back to the plane, to his calm face, his quiet endurance of her cruelty. She had been so dismissive, so entitled. And now she would never have the chance to make it right. Shoving her chair back, she stood abruptly, pacing across her spacious apartment. The walls, adorned with expensive artwork, suddenly felt suffocating. The pristine marble countertops seemed cold and lifeless. The article described the crash in chilling detail. A collision with a drunk driver, the soldier's car forced off the road and into a ravine. He had died on impact. The driver had survived with minor injuries. Rebecca pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling a sob. Desperate to ease the guilt clawing at her chest, she searched for more information. She scrolled through social media, finding posts from the soldier's grieving family and friends. Pictures of him smiling in uniform. A video of him surprising his mother on a previous visit, her face lighting up as she embraced her son. She kept scrolling until she found a GoFundMe page. The soldier's mother needed help with funeral expenses. Rebecca hesitated, her finger hovering over the donation button. Her usual self would have ignored it. But now, with trembling fingers, she entered an amount. A large one. The least she could do. As she confirmed the donation, a new headline caught her eye. Eyewitness claims mysterious circumstances in soldier's fatal accident. Rebecca frowned, clicking the link. Her heart nearly stopped as she read the first line. Survivor reports seeing an unidentified woman speaking to the soldier just hours before his death. Claims she seemed angry, possibly threatening. Rebecca's blood ran cold. Could they be talking about her? And if so, who else knew? Rebecca